You're listening to
Split the Defense.
LEAFS Post-Game Edition.
Split the Defense.
Is presented by the Forest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004. Serving the Kingston and surrounding areas. Alongside co-host Craig Pearce and producer Ted Evans, here's your host, Jordan Webster.
and welcome to Split the Defense, Leafs post-game. Leafs lose, what was it, like 4-3 in the end? 4-2, 3-2, 4-2. Yeah, it was not good. 3-2 in the end here. Nicky Bobby scores at the very last moment, but it doesn't really matter.
No, I already stopped watching.
I was already getting the stream going.
Yeah, no doubt, honestly.
Like,
at that point,
scored? Okay.
Crazier things have happened, though, right? Crazier things have happened watching this team. I've walked away before and then come back, and it's a what? So you never know. You never know. This is the last game of 2023. The Leafs wanted to go out with a bang. They certainly went out with a bust. They laid an egg, in my opinion, tonight. Carolina's a good team, but they didn't do what they needed to do. The big story was David Kampf was scratched going into this. Sheldon Keefe said in an interview before the game, he said there's going to be less tolerance for defensive mistakes going forward, and cites David Kampf's scratch as an example of that tonight. Pontus Holmberg drew in instead. And I don't know how much you want to rely on the fourth line saying it's a problem, but it really wasn't. It's a problem. It was still a problem. It's not working out great. So let's get into the breakdown. I'll read out the goals, and then we can get into our initial reactions. The first goal was Nyes taking an early hooking penalty, and of course, you should have put money on it. It's the free bingo square. Michael Bunting opens the scoring on the ensuing power play, makes it 1-0. Austin Matthews sweeps the puck off the Leafs goal line after the puck squeaks through Jones' 5-hole, almost 2-0 in the first 10 minutes. Then Max Domi takes a penalty, and Svechnikov and Jarvis go on a 2-on-1. Jarvis buries 2-0. Austin Matthews then takes his first penalty of the season.
Yeah.
First penalty of the season. What a saint that guy is. Then there's a too many men penalty called, but apparently the refs get together and say, oh no, it's Carolina, and like it's the Leafs. Like, no, like give it to, no, it's fine. It's fine. You guys can just not have a too many men penalty, because there was clearly too many men on the ice when the puck was being played by a Carolina player, but that's neither here nor there. We had good pressure for a minute or more. The Leafs were buzzing at one point later on in the game. Max Domi feeds Timothy Liljegren, and Timothy Liljegren roofs one for his first of the year, makes it 2-1. Marner, which is pretty much, this is the turning point for me in the game, takes a tripping call at 4 minutes and 15 seconds, and right then and there I kind of thought, well, there goes this game. Still going to be 2 minutes left after he gets done, but ruins all the Leafs' hopes right there, right? The Leafs pull Jones, and Aho scores on the empty net. Hope wasn't all lost for seconds, as Nick Robertson was awarded the goal after a long review with 9.8 seconds left after they decided, yes, he caught it, but his glove did, in fact, cross the line. Not enough time with 9.8 seconds left on the clock, though, and they ended up losing short by a goal, and it was that empty net that killed them. Leafs are a good 6-on-5 team, and it burned them tonight, but, you know, Carolina's just they're not going to give you much, man. They're a very stingy team, and you aren't going to be able to cheat and get away with stuff with those guys. And the Leafs, they aren't playing to the best of their abilities lately, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, tonight I thought was like decent. You know, like they played pretty good. Good team there on the other side, Carolina. I think they're a team that struggled to start the year, but I don't think anyone really thought that was the team they were. Like they're year after year a pretty, like actually the exact same team almost every year. So Kochetkov kind of shut the door tonight. I felt like the chances were pretty close. Felt like it was a pretty even game the entire time. Just they ended up sneaking a couple through, and we couldn't catch up. And I mean, the very end, it is what it is. You know, Robertson gets one, and I mean, they got an empty netter. So, but yeah, I felt like Kochetkov played really well. Not necessarily like his hardest game ever, but he definitely, I think, won the game for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Jones wasn't bad in
No.
any sort of the imagination, but he looked shaky in the first period. definitely
Well, he let in the
not.
second shot.
Yeah, and then the one that went through his legs that Austin Matthews saved.
Right.
Yeah,
True.
it wasn't looking good in the first period for Jones. That was kind of what I was looking at in this game. How's the goaltending going to be? What are they going to do, right? Like, what are the Leafs going to do if the goaltending doesn't work out with Jones? There's really not any other options, right? There's no other NHL options available right now. You have guys in Samsonov and Hildeby, but those guys aren't NHL options at this date right today. So, like, Jones was really the big story for me, and he honestly, the goal he let in on Michael Bunting, I think Woll would have stopped it. The other goal he let in, I think Woll would have stopped it. I think this could have been a closer game than we think, and maybe some momentum swings would have went differently had there been a better goalie in the net tonight. And it's not that Jones was bad. Jones was good, and he held the fort a lot. But the 2 goals he did let in those 5-hole, oh, you can't let those in. A goalie has to have those goals.
Yeah, I just want to look it up. Like Chekhov his save percentage must have been like 950 or something like that. He's been on a tear recently, and I think that the Leafs would have wanted Samsonov to have the same kind of trajectory as Chekhov, because struggled mightily at the beginning of the year. Sorry, was it
928?
Right. Okay. Yeah. The last goal, I guess, because he was like at a 970 before the Robertson goal. So, but yeah, like he struggled to start this season. They sent him back down to the minors. They were kind of forced because Anderson has this blood clot issue, who, Leafs legend, actually kind of a Leafs legend in the middle there. But yeah, so they were forced to bring him up again and kind of give him the reins. Antti Raanta has been really bad. And so, but he's figured it out. And I think in his last 10 games, he's like well over 920. He's up closer probably to 950 save percentage. So, good story for him, and he's continuing to look like a real NHLer. I think that's what the Leafs will hope for in like a year or two, and Hildeby hopefully takes the same trajectory as him. And actually, Kochetkov got his first starts at the age that Hildeby is right now, but more of a 3-game taster just to get your feet wet, not necessarily at the position we're in where we would want him to be the goalie, which is way too much to ask. So. Yeah, there's still, I think, nice.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just still on the goalie hunt. Like, even though Jones was decent tonight, we can't expect him to be the solution, I think, and to play every single game going forward. So whether it's a big move or a little move for a goalie, it's still coming, because even though it feels like we've been talking about this forever, Woll's still going to be like 5 weeks away, something like that, 4 weeks at least. So there's still a lot of hockey.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of hockey in the next month. We can't forget about Joseph Woll. He's good. He's proven he's good, and he's proven he might. I mean, he's given me confidence enough to say he might be good enough to lead this team through what they need. But wouldn't it be nice, and won't it be nice when Hildeby's ready, and if we can keep Woll and he's good, and we have 2 good goalies? Wouldn't that just be so not Leafs? And I'd just be so thrilled. I can't wait for that to happen when we have Hildeby and Joseph Woll playing in the nets. And hopefully they both work out. Goalies are voodoo, though. Like, they'll both be bad or something. I don't know. Something's going to go wrong. It always does. The next thing I wanted to talk about, though, was the too many men penalty that was called and then rescinded. Did you not clearly 100% see 6 men on the ice and then a Carolina player touch the puck, and then we get, let's talk about it maybe. Like, did you not watch it? How do you watch that play and then come away from that saying, oh yeah, we're going to make the right call and not give a too many men penalty? There was clearly 6 guys on the ice and Carolina had the puck right in front of their bench. Like,
I think,
whatever.
To me, it was so close because it just hits off the player's skate, and I'm not sure that there's too many men at that point. And the only time when there is too many is when I think it's Stahl is standing there at the bench, but that's acceptable as long as he's not in play, making any play, and he's waiting to get off. So I actually agreed with them. I thought it was stupid. They blew the whistle. If you blow the whistle, it should be a friggin' penalty, because why'd you blow the whistle? There's no other reason other than you're just reacting to the benches. I don't know if their excuse is they thought something else was going on, but clearly they thought about the too many men and then decided no, let's just play on. I don't really understand that part of it, but Yeah, close one for sure.
Yeah. What do you got next there, CP?
Bunting. I mean, what do you think of Bunting's game? I felt like right off the start, I was just like because like yesterday I was saying that like I don't miss Bunting that much, like, and as soon as he started, I mean, he almost scored on the first shot of the game. Then he does score on the second shot, and so definitely a good start. He was definitely making me eat my words, but what the rest of the game, I didn't find he was anything special, and then he did have another chance at the end of the game to score. But what'd you think of the Bunting's first game back? Actually, first game ever playing the Leafs too.
Oh, that's cool. First time ever playing against the Leafs.
Yeah,
Huh.
Even when he played for Arizona, he didn't play there long enough to actually play the Leafs.
I thought he was buzzing at the beginning of the game. You noticed him, and then I thought I kind of lost him. Didn't hear his name very much. Didn't see him doing much. He was Michael Bunting. He's a good player. Like I don't not like the guy, so I'm not going to say he didn't play a good game. I certainly seen him because I was looking for him, but he didn't do anything spectacular. He's kind of sleepy for a while, being Michael Bunting, just getting in the middle and scrumming things up, and then later in the game, like you said, there was that scoring opportunity for him. But I really just thought that once he got his goal, he kind of wasn't effective. He didn't really rile anybody on the Leafs up. He really didn't. I mean, it wasn't the guy that we remember as Michael Bunting at his best.
I was wondering if he like toned it down a bit too for playing the Leafs. Like I don't watch a lot. I'll admit I don't watch a lot of Carolina games. I just know that Bunting's been kind of up and down the lineup, but. I wonder if he just kind of like, what are you gonna go and ruffle the feathers of John Tavares? Like, I feel like he's like best friends with almost everybody still, so it makes it a little more hard to play his true game, right?
Yeah, they're still all his boys, right?
Yeah, it's like best friends
hard
with Matthews.
Yeah, that's true. No, you make a good point. You wonder how much you can put that away for a game, for 60 minutes of a game, and then
if it was
go
a
back to
playoff
that.
game, for sure he
Yeah.
would.
Okay, that's fair enough.
What do you got?
The next thing I want to talk about is the forward lines. Oh, man. So, Tavares' line is steady Freddy, right? They're always in the positive, it seems, every game.
They did great tonight.
After 2 tonight, Corsi for was 68%. Their shots for were 66%. Their expected goals for was 95.38%. Holy crap. They were looking good. The Matthews line, though, man. After 2, their Corsi for is 46%. Their shots for is 75%. So they've taken 75% of the shots, but the expected goals for is 36%. That's bad. At the end of the game, the Matthews line, Corsi for is 57%. The shots for is 80%. So it goes up. Their expected goals for 61.17. Why aren't you trying? Or what was happening the whole rest of the game that took you this long to figure it out? Because you always see them turn it on. And you saw that Austin Matthews line turn it on 10 minutes to go in the third period. And this happens way, way too much. That he is that good. And Marner is that good. And I don't know what it is, why they can't get that kick in the ass to play like that for the whole game. But if they did, they would be regarded as top players all the time. Top 5, like top 10 players. If they just played how they can the whole game. They just never do. Like, it's become a joke. How you're like, well, they only play 40 minutes. And we're like, yeah, we accept that. No, we don't fucking accept that. That's not good enough. These guys are so good. Why are you doing shit for the first 40 minutes and then at the end of the game, well, my numbers look good? Yeah, they look good. It took you like 4 minutes to make them look good. Like, do that for like, I don't know, 15 minutes in the game that you play. And then maybe you'll fucking win more. But I don't know. Like, it's just driving me nuts that you can see these guys after 1 period or after 2 periods, they look like shit. Or after 1 period, they look good. And then the rest of the game, they play like shit. It's just over and over and over again, the same thing. And it's driving me crazy.
I'm with John. I think you guys only have about half a real NHL defense core. And the rest, the other 3 are just Let's get some real. You see John's comment there? You see what he's saying?
Yeah, I see it here.
think he's
I
right.
half agree with him. There's like if you're looking for the best NHL corp in the league, then I don't even know if there's three. If it's the best in the league, then like I would take Riley for sure, and then probably McCabe, just to be honest, because Brody might not. He's kind of seems like he falls off and comes back, but
Fair.
for this team, I think to the bottom pair tonight, like Gio had a bad night. I felt like he had a lot of mistakes. Liljegren, he's just kind of. I know he's just getting back and actually scored tonight. Really nice goal by Liljegren.
Really good goal.
But yeah, I think to be like a true dominant team, then they're definitely missing some guys. To win games, I think that maybe like one would make a huge difference, I think. And unfortunately, it looks like Gio would lose his spot just based on currently. But yeah, I think that we're first. We just need to solve this goalie issue, and then we can look at what's going to be next for making this like the best team possible. But yeah, 3 might be pushing it. I think that's not giving them enough credit.
Honestly, though, like I think there's 4. I think you have 4 NHL defensemen there, and the problem is they have too many 5-6 guys, right?
They've got a
like, I think,
lot of 5.
I don't think Liljegren's top 4 yet. I think maybe he will be, but like he's still, what is he, 23, 20, 24, 23, 20, like he's not that old, and like I don't know if he's ready to be the top 4 guy. Jake McCabe is good, but he's not like top 4 on a Stanley Cup winning team good. He's, I don't know. He would be an amazing third pairing defenseman. TJ Brody's playing way too high. TJ Brody's a great defender, but he's like a third or a fourth guy. Maybe more like a fourth guy. Like TJ Brody would be good on the second pairing as the left guy with somebody who is better than TJ Brody playing on the right. Right? And then you need somebody on the right that's better than them with Riley. So like, yes, they're definitely down a few guys. Whether it's 3, I think they more likely have 4 NHL defensemen right now. And the problem is all of those 4 NHL defensemen are slotted too high. They need guys that are better than them to drop those guys down, and we won't be talking about this anymore.
I think also too that like a lot of people quite often forget is just what pairings are playing against who, and Benoit and McCabe have just been hands down getting the hardest minutes possible, and they've been doing a great job. And so I think that if you get a really good top 4 defenseman, like that's your partner for Riley, and then you just like jump TJ Brody down on like 2 pairs, and now he's playing with Liljegren. And I think that like TJ Brody on a third pair with Liljegren, like I think that can just do wonders. And first pairing, whoever this player is that we, mysteriously pick out of a hat, that's just amazing for not very much to trade for, and that fits in the salary cap as well. Whoever that amazing player is, like that would solve a lot, because like bumping players down does so much. And Brody looks like an amazing defenseman on the third pair. And when Liljegren has someone other than Gio, and like I love Gio, I think that he's like a heart and soul type of a player, but Liljegren doesn't necessarily benefit a lot of the time from when he falls or when he makes a weird pass or play. So I think that if you had someone a little more consistent, then I think that people look at this as maybe we have 5 defensemen and we're missing just one key good one. We've always been lacking like high-end talent on defense. We always seem to have a lot of these middle guys, and you're asking guys to do too much. So I think someone like if we could go back a year and go get Ekholm, like when Edmonton traded for him, when he was actually healthy back when they traded for him, like that type of a guy would be just like lifesaver.
Jake
for
Muzzin.
this.
Let's just go get Jake Muzzin from LA. He's good, right?
Yeah, I wish. How many years ago was that now?
Oh
my
wait,
God.
yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Time just flies,
man.
doesn't it?
Jake Muzzin 2.0. I can't wait for that guy to be here, because that is what they need for sure.
Yeah, that's exactly. He was. If he didn't get hurt in the playoffs, I swear to God, they would have went further than they did. But that's the reason that they've been hindered. Is they needed Jake Muzzin, and he's been hurt every playoff. Like,
Or
hasn't
John
had a
Tavares.
chance. Yeah, I mean, he didn't even Jake Muzzin go down in like Game 4 of that series too, or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Like
always
so,
missing. Yeah.
he's always going out. But yeah, Jake Muzzin, for the way he played, the kind of game he played, and the skill he had as well, and his size and his beard. Like all of those things mixed together, you need a guy just like that. Like
You-
just pure vibes.
This is
Dad.
all you
Like,
guys do. Is you just love the players you let go, eh?
We
It's
didn't
not
let
the
him
one-
go.
no,
He's hurt.
You know, he works for us.
Yeah, he's
Well,
still
I
on the
know,
team.
but I mean,
Not like
all you
driving the
talk about is
Zamboni or
players
anything,
from the
but-
past. Not even but I mean, this is all you guys do. It's Muzzin, it's Hyman, it's everyone that's not playing anymore. Come on, guys, we got to focus on the future.
I mean,
gotta
Yeah,
go
that's because
forward.
we're
just trying
looking
to
for
think of the
what we need now. Like, okay, so Hyman was great. We need a Hyman 2.0. Okay, now
Yeah.
Muzzin was great. We need a Muzzin 2.0. Who are these guys going to be? This archetype player. Who are these players going to be? Because we liked these guys who were that archetype. Now can we get their new coming? Who's
Yes,
going to be
their
that next
2.0.
guy? Right? Who's going to be that guy? So that's why we're always doing this. Like, we like this guy in this position. If only he was in that position now with the rest of the team filled out the way that it is.
If only.
It's
If
amazing.
only.
We're asking for the hardest thing to find too, like a shutdown right shot defenseman on a top pair. Like
Tough
not
ask.
every team gets one of those players, right? If we were asking for a guy who can move the
doesn't even have
puck
to
and
be
play
shut
on the
down.
second power play, like that'd be so easy to find. But we're looking for something that's a little more difficult to find than that, right?
He doesn't even have to be a shutdown guy, though. He could be a two-way player.
Yeah,
he could
yeah.
be, as long as he was sound defensively and chipped in offensively, and he could play with Riley and they had chemistry. Then whatever. As long as he's good, big, long, rangy. You know.
Most of those guys play on the left side, unfortunately.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it's hard.
Same with
So
all
what do you got next
defensemen.
there, CP?
What do I got here? Special teams of Carolina. Like, wow, devastating power play. Like they're in December, they're I think first, or maybe first and second in power play and PK. And it just showed tonight. They were 2 for 2 right off the hop. Like then the Leafs haven't necessarily been vibing on either. So yeah, rough go there. But I just thought like in the one goal that they got, it's like a breakdown play where I just want the Leafs to create those. It's just so generic what the Leafs do every time. And it just Carolina throws something different at you every time, it seemed like.
Yeah, both the goals scored tonight before the empty netter were scored on the power play for Carolina.
Yeah.
That kind of brings me into what I wanted to talk about. No David Kampf, and both goals are scored on the power play. And where's David Kampf the most useful? On
There.
the penalty kill.
There
You
he
think that would have
is.
been a little
Yeah.
bit different?
Would have
Sending
helped.
a message, you know?
I never really thought about that. Like he's being punished for his 5-on-5 play because of turnovers, but the man can still PK, right? So yeah, that's tough not having him. I didn't really think about that, to be honest. But now that I think about it, I saw Willie out there doing on the PK at some point. So
Hey,
they were
John's
digging
got
a
a
little
great point
dig.
about Willie. You want to hear some stuff about Willie? Let's take a listen to John here again.
So the Nylander circus is hurting this team.
Oh,
He'll never
yeah.
be worth more than he is today. Go out and get a top-tier defenseman for him. Wingers come and go, but defensemen and centers are hard to get.
What do you boys think about that?
Oh, it's a take.
It's a take. I mean, this reminds me
You
of
guys
what my
love
dad
Willie.
threw at us earlier.
Yeah,
Uh,
CP's dad was laying into us in the team earlier, wasn't he? Just
Yeah.
trying to
The
get
questions,
pushing your guys'
yeah.
buttons, I think.
Yeah, I think that he's right about the value of Nylander. Oh, it's being it's actually at an all-time high about 2 weeks ago. They probably should have traded him, but it's still like there. But you got to get more than just a like defenseman. This better be like one of the top echelon defensemen in the league, or I think
For
that
Willie?
because you have to
Yeah.
fill his position as well. If you take away him from a forward, you need another top 6 forward. So. You need to replace that somehow. So I think hopefully you can get 2 things back for Willie. I'm not against the trading the Willie thing. I know that some people will love it and some people will hate it. He's like one of those players that even today, even though that like he's played so well, he's a very divisive player. So I think that like I'm not against it just based on that. This team has needed a shakeup in the big picture for a couple years, in my opinion. And they just haven't done it. And half the reason is because of the GM change this summer. But I think that I wouldn't be shocked if Willie gets traded because Brad Treliving could have these same thoughts as we do. We don't really necessarily know like
I
what
just
he's
don't.
going to do. But it's hard to think of a Nylander trade because now you have to start thinking about like some pretty good players here, right? And teams that would want him that fit his cap space. Like that's so much more difficult than getting a defenseman that's paid $4 million and giving up the prospects that he's worth, right?
Yeah, well, I just don't think he's going to go anywhere because Shanahan got rid of Dubas when the theory is Dubas was thinking about breaking up the core four, and Shanahan's like, nope, get out of here. This is not my plan. And you can go and we'll bring in Brad Treliving, who wants to keep the core four together, and we're going to keep going and trying. So I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I think they're going to try and pay Willie, and I bet you Willie gets a deal in Toronto. I don't think he's going to get traded. The last reports I had from Chris Johnson on Overdrive was that things were going well with the Nylander camp in the Toronto Maple Leafs, and they were progressing toward a contract. So that's a couple
So you're saying
weeks
it's
ago.
not a circus, like John said. I love that. The Nylander
Yeah.
circus. I liked that.
I mean, he's
Just
always
right into it.
He's always been a bit of a circus. Like I mean, I'm not going to disagree with him. Like, I think Willie is a great player, and he's played better this year than he ever has. Whether or not that I think that Willie is going to show up every night going forward, and we replace him with something that brings the team a little bit more grit and more of a playoff style? Like, I can't disagree if that's the point being made. I think Willie's a great player, though. I'm not saying
Can't
anything
disagree
else.
with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I want to get back into this David Camp thing.
Yeah.
So, David Camp's bench tonight. Both goals are scored on the PK. They needed that guy there. And to me, this felt like Sheldon Keefe saying, like, I'm going to send a message. Well, who should you bench? Well, I really want to send a message to William Nylander. Well, we can't bench William
can't bench
Nylander. He's got get points in like every game. Okay, well, I need to send a message, so I'm going to bench Mitch Marner. Well, we can't do that.
Well,
We might
yeah, we can't
hurt
do
his
that.
feelings or
His
something.
dad
I don't
might
know.
tweet at
Yeah.
us and get
So-
angry.
gonna get tweeted
Okay, well,
at.
what about Austin Matthews? Are you insane?
Yeah, dude.
We're going to bench off just to send a message. Keith,
Just-
have you lost it? So
You're fired.
we can't do that. Well, what about John Tavares? What did Tavares do? He's not the problem
Johnny
here.
T.
Okay, so we can bench the guys that are actually causing a problem. We could play them less. We could maybe switch things up, or I've got it. David Camp.
The prodigal son.
Okay.
My
Do
favorite
you
player.
think anybody else would ever get made an example of but David Camp? Because Sheldon Keefe goes like, come on, Campy. Like,
Yeah,
we know,
everyone
you
else-
know we love you. You know.
You
we
already
just
used
gotta
your one
kinda-
veto, everybody.
Yeah, we got to kind of just show these guys. So you're going to like take one for the team here. Like, paid day off, man. Like, it's all good. Like, you know? And Camp was like, yeah, whatever. I guess that's fine. You know, I know that's not how it is. He's being penalized for a bad offensive zone turnover the other night, last night. But it was still funny to see that of all the players that make mistakes and of all the players that could use a benching, it's David Camp.
The
Why
one thing
couldn't
I'll,
we bench any of the other guys? Like, you know what? I know it's crazy. You wouldn't bench Austin Matthews, but if
You wouldn't.
the guy is playing like shit, then
I mean,
yeah,
he's playing amazing recently.
limit
so.
his ice time. But he's not.
Yeah,
He's
he's
playing
not.
well. He plays
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
But if he does, don't be hesitant to limit his ice time. Do it. You can make an example out of him too. David Camp, though, it's like the guy's mints. He's gems like 99% of the time. And he has, he hasn't been playing at the top tier, but he hasn't been playing very many minutes. He was playing a lot more in the flow of the game. It's hard to stay in the game and feel the flow of the game when you don't get shifts often enough. You're sitting on the bench and watching. You're not really feeling the flow of the game and staying in it. It'd be better for Camp, I'm sure, if he played more minutes. Like, Camp was more successful on this team, and he earned the contract that he has because he was playing third-line minutes on this team. That's why. Now he's down on the fourth line, and he's not as effective, and we're kind of like, because the fourth line is kind of whatever. They play 8 minutes, and it's Bobby McMahon, and it's Pontus Holmberg tonight, and you got Ryan Reeves, their show there, and Noah Gregor's great. He's been a shining light, but like he's not a fourth line guy in my opinion. He's either a scoring third or he needs to be worked on and be put into the top 6 as a dog. You go get pucks. That's what you do. You just get pucks and you pass. Just go get pucks and pass. I just don't think that that's the ideal guys for David Camp to be playing with, and I don't think that he's having very much success doing that. But he's always David Camp. He's still not bad, and he makes a couple of lapses, and everybody else makes mistakes, and they're not getting benched, but David Camp is. I just find it funny how.
I I don't think he's been great this year. His 5-on-5 play hasn't been awesome at all. But you are right. Like, he might be missing Pierre Engvall a little bit. I'm not sure anyone has ever said that, but I feel like he just played really well with a guy like that. They just basically 8 minutes, did almost nothing while they're out there, but they played against like higher competition. But this year, Kampf hasn't been able to play against tougher competition, but he's also had, like you said, Ryan Reeves on his side. So not necessarily being set up for success, and he has been useful in the PK. So I think that and this was understandable to me just because in general, I don't think he's a guy you can just rule out benching because just hasn't been awesome. Like, I know that he's normally has been, but I think when you talk about the other top guys, like they're off limits just based on like how much drama it would cause in Toronto. Not necessarily what they would say, but what media would say,
and the media, everyone. Yeah,
so
it would go nuts. We'd have to go live right away if that announcement came out. Like,
we'd be live for the entire show just talking about that benching
just all day. Like, what happened with why did they bench? Yeah, that's right.
I think that it also sends a message that he's a guy that like is supposed to do everything perfect. He's like the bottom six John Tavares, where you lead by example, and when you're not leading by example, then you teach everybody a lesson by benching that player. And I mean, like, maybe Nick Robertson probably deserves a ton of benchings, but that just doesn't send the message like it does Camp. So I understand the whole thing. I don't disagree with them. Like, I think it was something that had to. It didn't work out tonight, obviously, and you can see the value that Camp still provides. So I think he might have, by being benched, has locked in his position at fourth line because, I mean, Pontus Holmberg, as fine as he is 5-on-5, I mean, he's not even that great 5-on-5, but he just can't do those things that Camp can.
So we've seen William Nylander's minutes kind of limited. We've never really seen anybody else minutes limited in the top six. And I mean, even like
Marner's been
it's
benched.
Just hard to say. It's just
shift.
do you think that anybody else on this team would get that treatment? Do you think this is more of a PR move than anything else?
I think it's a move to avoid a PR stunt. So it's not necessarily a PR move in itself, but it's like to avoid some big media thing. So like, I think he's trying to accomplish. I'm not sure who would you bench though, because like I'm not benching Marner or Matthews at the moment, and Tavares and Nylander lines like the 5-on-5 line going. Bertuzzi and Nyes have been giving more than they have been in the previous, so their benching's kind of behind them. They probably should have been benched earlier. I mean, Domi would send a message, but I don't know. That's not maybe not good for his confidence.
I don't know who earned it, man. Like,
I don't think anyone earned it.
I can go back and go through and watch the tapes and be like, all right there. You see that? That was dumbass move. You're sick.
Liljegren,
he blew a tire behind Marley.
Like, that's the biggest thing I can remember from last game that was like a mistake that caused a goal. But again, like, everyone blows a tire, so my opinion was pretty clear on last podcast that I thought they played pretty great all in all. Like, the goaltending just sucked. So like Kampf is probably one of the few plays you could bench someone for. I don't know if is he also trying to take the heat off Samsonov a little bit, just by saying that like, see, a player didn't play good either. So, it's not like
that's it right there. Yeah, we're helping his feelings. Yeah,
yeah. Sammy's feelings might be, I don't know.
God forbid, yeah. His like, fucking play better. You're getting paid millions of dollars a year to play a children's game. Fucking play better. Like,
yeah.
Samsonov's feelings are fine. I don't think that has.
I don't care about his feelings anymore.
No, it's
he's
more
not playing anymore.
To prove it to everybody else. That's when he said in the media, "Oh yeah, it wasn't just him." And then he goes, "See, I wasn't just talking."
Everybody's going to be held accountable, even David Kampf, who didn't even do anything wrong.
Right.
All right. So David Kampf has been bad this year, though. So David Kampf in his first 2 years, his Corsi 4 is 50 and 47. This year it's 43. His shots for percentage was 52%, 49%. This year it's 43%. His expected goals, his actual goals for, we'll start with that, was 50% first year, 49% second year. This year, it's 35%.
Okay.
His
And-
expected goals for was 51%, then 48%, now 36.
Trending
I'm
down.
not asking him for expected goals. I'm not asking for that. What I'm looking for is the percentage win. He doesn't have to get a whole bunch. He's just got to make sure that that shit's not happening when he's on the ice. And if you're losing that, you don't need to go and create more to stop it. You need to be better. And I just wonder, how much is that a product of the way this team is built and not David Kampf himself? Like, I just think David Kampf will be better suited playing third line minutes, more time, and having a shutdown line. I'm not saying that's what's best for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm saying that's what's best to get the best out of David Kampf.
Right. I was going to add too, because like those numbers can, like, you can inflate those first 2 years as well because of the better competition he's been playing against. We've never asked David Kampf to win expected goals or even like goals for. We just want them to be even and very low because you're playing against sometimes the best players on the ice. And so we're not expecting Kampf to, like tonight, if he played against Sebastian Aho, we don't expect you to score, man. Just make sure that Aho doesn't score. And if he does, just once, and that allows Matthews to do something somewhere else. But like, so he's been ultra bad this year because he's been playing against crappy players too. So maybe not, I shouldn't say crappy. They're NHL players, but he's been playing against other fourth lines. So I would expect more from him. So like, maybe you are right that more ice time would make it better, but I feel like he just hasn't, he hasn't given you reason to give him more ice time. So.
Yeah.
Well, the turning point in this game tonight is when Mitch Marner takes a penalty with 4 minutes left in the game. And if David Kampf is on the ice, maybe earlier in the games for those power plays, maybe it's not. Maybe they're only down by one. Maybe things change. Maybe they're not. Maybe it's all the same. But the fact that it could have, and he's one of your best penalty killers, and that is the turning point of the game tonight when I myself was like, it's over. And I'm sure a whole bunch of people on the bench felt like, well, there it fucking goes. Like, slipped away. So, I have to say that was an interesting coaching decision. Sending a message to the team. I don't know how much it sent a message to the team. They played tighter, certainly against Carolina. But what do we expect? They play well against good opponents. They play shitty against shitty opponents. I think they cheat too much. And they expect to be so much better than the teams that don't get a lot of points in the standings. And they forget that these guys on these other sides are still NHL players, right? And so tonight, letting in 2 goals and whatever, the defensive structure looking better, I take that at the grain of salt. It is what it is because they're just going to go back to playing the exact same way. They didn't learn anything. This whole benching did nothing for me, and I don't feel like it did anything for the team.
Yeah, I think my next move, if I was Kampf, like I'd be putting Kampf, or if I was Keefe, sorry, I'd be putting Kampf back in. Like your experiment didn't work, and I'd be taking Robertson out. Like I know he scored tonight, but he just seems like he's a guy that like he's a 90% guy. 90% of the time he looks like a great NHL player, and then 10% of the time he does something awful. Like turnover in front of your own net or like a clear like challenge breakaway and he just airmails it for an icing. All up, and he created that play though. That's the thing is like all up to that point is that he made a big hit in front of our own net. He collected the puck. Like he saw the guys going down, but then like he can't finish that play, and I think like he's a guy that I think has lacked opportunity to show off his skills as a good shooter. Not a lot of clear open shots, and the few he's had, he's I think gripping the stick too much, like just always wide. He airmails them so often. I think that everything he does is maybe gripping the stick too hard. But yeah, I feel bad for the guy
because back to back though.
I know, but it's just like he doesn't necessarily look like there's a lot of mistakes, I'll say. So like I would shake something up there. And the Domi line actually in general was pretty bad tonight until the third period. They were similar they had like a 25% expected goals. 25% of winning your ice time is not good. But then like turned it on at the end. And then Robertson gets a goal. So, I don't know. That wouldn't have affected it though, because it wasn't necessarily the line that was out there, but yeah, and actually Right. Yeah, and I'm looking at 5-on-5 numbers. So yeah, so I mean, I know that like he has a sweet spot in a lot of people's hearts, and like everyone wants him to be good, but I just feel like maybe a bottom 6 shakeup is due right now versus doing a top 6 shakeup. That seems to be always the way to go, but I don't know. This third line just seems to be locked in stone, but I'd like to see a little bit more movement in the bottom 6.
Fair enough. So do you got anything else there, CP?
No, I think that was my last thing.
I got one more comment here from John, saying doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Insanity, obviously. He said coaching hasn't improved, over the tenure of Keefe. He gets out-coached most nights, and not putting in camp was a dumb move. So, I mean,
yeah,
as we said,
agree.
good response to what we said there. We appreciate that, John.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
John. We really appreciate your participation in this stream. This is a lot of fun to be able to answer your questions. Yeah, well, coaching is certainly a question. What do you do next? What do you do next? What do you do next? It's got to be something. Something's got to give. They need to add something. They need to pull a rabbit out of their hat and keep everybody and somehow just get another best player in the league and just add them somehow.
Yeah.
Figure out how that's going to happen. Looking ahead here, the boys head to California to take on LA in the first of a 3-game road trip, which includes the other California teams, and come back to Toronto to finish up a home against the Sharks next week. So all those are late games. Well, I guess will be game time decisions for those streams. That's going to be pretty late Eastern time for us Kingstonians. Don't know if we're going to be able to make it up for 1 a.m. post game, but we'll do what we do.
We'll see.
We also we also do another kind of podcast, though. We do cover the rest of the league. We'd like to talk about the rest of the league as well. We do those once every week or 2, sometimes 3, depends on how much time we have. But our next episode will be released Tuesday morning, and then we will be back maybe after one of those post games, maybe Tuesday night or when they play the Ducks, or more likely on the weekend. We'd be back for a post game. But we definitely have another episode coming out on Tuesday morning. That's Split the Defense. You can find it right here on this YouTube channel. So check us out. Follow us on all the socials. We're Split the Defense with an S, as you can see here. We're on everything. And then at STDP Hockey on X. For now, we are out of here. So I will see you boys soon. Peace.
Peace.
You've been listening to
Split the Defense.
LEAFS Post-Game Edition. Hosted by Jordan Webster, Craig Pearce, and producer Ted Evans.
Split the Defense.
Is presented by LaForest Electrical Contractors. Professional and efficient service since 2004. Serving the Kingston and surrounding areas.